City Council regular meeting, May 9th, 2023. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. Right, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Each day that I come to the meetings, which we have them twice a month, sometimes I come with a very heavy heart. And this day I come with a very, very heavy heart of the killings of babies around this country. And it saddens me that we can't straighten the problem out. And I just pray that each and every one of us have a conscience to just lift these families up in prayer and ask our Father God for mercy and forgiveness. Come with me in prayer. Father God, we just thank you so much for this day that you have blessed us. We thank you for each and every person that entered through the threshold of this chamber. We're here to take care of the business for the city of Newman. And we just pray, Father God, that you will clear our minds so that we can take care of this business. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman. Roll call. Councilmember McDonald?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ball?
Here.
Councilmember Tomlinson? Here. Pimentel?
Here.
Mayor Graham? Here. Item number 5, declarations of conflicts of interest. Are there any tonight? Not seeing any. All right. Based on our closed session prior, direction was given for both items A and B. Item number 6, ceremonial matters. There are none today. Item number 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Anybody wishing to speak tonight, go and step on up.
After you, after Gavin.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, city staff, members of the community. Thank you. Gavin Klein, Congressman Duarte's office, field representative. Quick update from the congressman's. One, I want to touch on one of the top subjects from when he was in D.C., and the rest will be from his trip to the Valley. It's been a busy week back for the congressman here in the Valley. Congressman Duarte was able to meet with local leaders, visited water infrastructure projects, and joined a water policy forum in Fresno. We're looking at the potential of flooding this summer. 2 weeks ago, Congressman Duarte was able to question USGS Director Applegate. And this was about the federal government's preparation efforts and ways we can prevent future floodings here in the future in the Valley. Congressman Duarte's number one priority in Congress is making sure the Valley has access to abundant, clean water. Congressman Duarte was able to join the California Water Alliance for a water discussion. Conversation focused on the current state of California's water resources and the future of our water management. And also, I want to touch on, we will be joining Assemblymember Juan Alanis's office hours here the second Tuesday of every month. So this is an opportunity for constituents of Newman, residents of Newman, that have any state or federal issues. We will both be there. We'll be meeting 5:30 to 6:30 at Pizza Plus every second Tuesday of the month. And this is a great opportunity for us to meet the members of the community, hear any issues. And our office can help with agencies, veterans, IRS, Social Security, passport, immigration. So we look forward to having anybody come in, and if there's any questions, always feel free to reach out to myself or our office. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Gavin.
Thank you.
Michael, is there any way we can throw on social media in that they're going to be there on second Tuesdays for any kind of contact? All right.
I have a quick question on that. Why did you choose the second Tuesday of the month?
Yeah, so we figured that it'd be a good time just to follow up right before the city council meetings. And then the fourth Tuesday, I'm in Turlock for that area for their city council. But if that's something that doesn't work out for the city of Newman and we like to change the times, I can make the adjustments accordingly.
I was just thinking, since we have the council meetings on the second Tuesday of the month, it might be, feasible for, city council to drop in on your meetings.
Yes, sir.
Just to, hear what's on your agenda.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So keep that in mind.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. We have Mr. David Heft from Turlock Mosquito Abatement. Good evening. Thank you for coming out.
Hey, thank you for having me. Together a little presentation for the city tonight. I really love the town of Newman. I love coming out here. I love your West Side Theater and all the fun events you guys have there. You know, we just heard a lot about water, and we're in the water business too, and I think everybody can see a lot of water out there. So why don't we go to the next slide. In Stanislaus County, there's 2 mosquito abatement districts. You can see that green line running across the map here. That's the Tuolumne River, and so that separates the 2 mosquito control districts. We're the Turlock Mosquito Abatement District. We do cover the residents of Newman. The other district in green is the East Side Mosquito Abatement District. They are located in Modesto, and they cover anything north of the Tuolumne River. And we do pretty much the same stuff. Laboratory, we have biologists that go out, the sample mosquitoes. They are tested to see if they are carrying virus, what kind of virus, what's the infection levels, how close are they to the community, do we need to put out warnings, do we need to do mosquito control efforts to bring those numbers down to try to protect people that are going to be outdoors. That gets into our operations department. And then, of course, we have our public outreach. You may have seen us out at the Newman City Fair each year, and we're at Ceres, Turlock, the county fair. We just did Houston. So we try to get out as much as we can and talk to folks and let them know about what we're doing, clear up a lot of misconceptions that are out there about how and what we do, and try to head off any problems that we can, as soon as possible. So this is kind of the very first point of entry is a service request. Somebody typically will call our office and they'll make a contact for service. They'll say, hey, we're having mosquitoes in my backyard. I'm getting bit. Or, hey, I was at a ball game for my son or daughter this weekend and we were getting bit in the stands, or a football game or whatever it may be. And so we take that, then that'll initiate our surveillance. So we'll go out. A lot of times folks think it's a mosquito and it's a midge or it's something else. So we need to ascertain exactly what it is we're dealing with. Figure out, okay, yeah, we are getting a lot of mosquitoes in this area. What kind of mosquito? That's going to give us information about where to look in terms of what's causing the problem. And then it also tells us, does that mosquito carry virus? Because not all mosquitoes can transmit disease. We anticipate this year will be a heavy service request year. We all live close to river and to marsh and sumps and whatnot, and we're going to have a lot of water this year. So the last few years we've had a pretty reasonable in terms of mosquito and virus levels. This year we expect it to be a lot busier. The other thing that draws it in too is we have and I'm going to cover it a little bit more later, but I'll mention it now. One thing that's driving up a lot of our service requests is we have a new mosquito. It's an invasive mosquito, and it lives in backyards. It can live indoors its whole life. It's very small. It's very cryptic. It's very tough to control. And so, but it's also very aggressive. It loves biting people. And a lot of our native mosquitoes prefer other things. They'll bite people when nothing else is around, but they prefer birds, the ones that carry West Nile. These mosquitoes evolved to be around people, to breed next to people, and so it makes it difficult for us to control because the timing of our applications are usually in the evening or in the morning, early mornings, before people and bees and other insects are out and about flying around. And these mosquitoes are active when we are. So they're out in the middle of the day when we're out in our backyards, doing work or enjoying our patio or our pool. That's when they're out too. And they really live right around the home. So it makes it a lot more difficult. It's a lot more up close and personal. We have to get in backyards and house to house in a neighborhood and try to go through and educate the public about, the importance of dumping and draining. I mean, I know we've been saying that for a long time, but now it's critical because these mosquitoes are now at this point all throughout the county. And so it just takes one or two neighbors to have some things in their backyards that have water in it, and everybody's got mosquitoes and can't go in their backyard. So we'll go into the next one. There's just some of the average stuff we see on a day-to-day basis. You know, one of the big ones that people don't think about is up here in the down here in the corner, the clogged rain gutters. You don't see them. They're up above. I can guarantee you right now, there are tons of houses out there right now with that after these rains we just got, and they haven't cleaned out their gutters in who knows how long, and they're just up there until they dry, you know, for months, breeding mosquitoes. And so a lot of times for us it's difficult because we get a call, we don't know where they're coming from, we set traps, and it takes some time. So, you know, we have a database that we keep a history of all the old sources that we found in the past, so those are the ones we're going to hit first. But sometimes it's a little bit of a mystery. You know, we have to get out there and really hit the canvas and knock on doors and try to figure out what's going on. We just finished, you can see the swimming pool there. We just finished a flyover of the majority of our district, identifying all the green pools. We're going through those right now. Homeowners are getting notifications like, hey, you got a green pool. It's most likely breeding mosquitoes. We need to come in and treat your pool or clean it, you know, get it back in service. This is a typical thing. You know, many homeowners don't want to pay all winter to clean their pool when they're not using it. So this is kind of a reminder that we give them, hey, if you're going to use your pool, now's the time to get it clean. We'll come and treat the pool for free. A lot of times we can add fish to it. If the person doesn't have any plans to use their pool and they don't have the money to keep the upkeep and all that, as long as they don't drain it, we can put mosquito fish in there. And as long as they, you know, keep an eye on it and just, hey, I'm not seeing the fish anymore, and give us a call and we can put some more. Or, you know, once in a while just throw some fish food in it or something. You know, those mosquito fish will live for years. You know, they'll thrive in an environment like that. The problem is residents that don't cooperate, and we have to go through the whole process of getting an abatement warrant and all that. And then we got to tie other agencies to come out with us and that kind of thing. So we try to make sure that everybody understands nobody's getting in trouble. It'll take us 2 minutes in and out. We go in, we take care of what we got to do, and we're gone, you know, because we got hundreds of pools to get to. So we're just asking for the public's cooperation. We'll do this again in the end of July. And it is amazing how many different pools we'll get, you know, at the different times of year that we do this. The one thing that I do want the council to know is we can't do anything about green pools, though. So we have situations where folks will call us and their neighbor has a green pool and they don't like looking out over the fence at their neighbor's, you know, dirty pool, and can you make them clean it? We can't make them actually clean. If we know we got fish in there and it's not breeding mosquitoes, we can't actually make them clean their pool. So that's a whole nother ball of wax. We're just concerned about the mosquitoes. And so these are just some of the traps and some of the surveillance methods you can see in these two pictures on the right here. These are what we call dip samples. And so that cup is a standardized cup size. And so when we go out and we sample a pasture, or we sample a marsh or a swamp or wherever we're at, or swimming pool, we'll take a count of those little wormy guys that you see swimming around in the water there. And those are mosquito larvae. And we'll take a count. And so we'll say, okay, we got 30 per dip or 50 per dip. That lets us standardize per where we're collecting at and to make comparisons about, you know, different breeding sites, because those cups are standardized no matter where you work in the mosquito control industry. They're always the same size. And so that gives us a real, and I was spending all day today doing that. We were up by the San Joaquin National Wildlife Refuge and doing a lot of sampling up there just to try to get an idea of where we need to treat with our operations crew. On the left-hand side, you'll see some adult traps. So in that bucket, this black bucket here is dry ice. Mosquitoes, their first lure that they bring back to an animal is carbon dioxide. And so the dry ice melts. It gives off, in the bottom of that bucket are little holes drilled through, and it sublimates dry ice through there, and the mosquitoes track it back thinking it's a bird or an animal. And they fly around going, hey, where's the blood meal here? And this fan creates a suction, and it sucks them down into this net, and then we pick it up the next day. And so we'll leave that out for close to 24 hours. And so, again, it's a standardized time so that every trap we pick up is the same time, same method. And so it allows us to make comparisons about different areas, and we can get an idea. There's nowhere in California that you're going to put one of these things out and probably not catch any mosquitoes. There's always it's like ants. There's always a baseline of mosquitoes. No matter what we do, there's going to be some out there, But we know we have a good idea after doing this for decades what numbers we're going to get calls at and what numbers that are going to be below what we can really do. And so it gives us a real good opportunity to know when to trigger control. It's not a thing where we go out and it's Tuesday night and it's spray Newman night. If you see us out, it's because of this. We've surveyed the area. We've got lots of mosquitoes, lots of calls, and lots of virus. So this was last year's activity. Very, very slow year. Most of it, I believe, because of the drought. It really just, the first couple of years of the less irrigation water that was available, we still got decent mosquito numbers and decent virus levels, but last year was the third year, and I think it really came to bear last year. And so we did see quite a bit less mosquitoes, less virus last year. But what that tells us is we've had 3 years now with fairly reasonable virus rates, and that's going to tell us that there's a lot of birds out there now that are susceptible to the virus. And so as soon as we get the conditions right, which we're expecting this year, there's a lot of birds out there that are going to be able to amplify this disease really quickly. So our biggest thing this year is going to be trying to keep the numbers as low as possible. And think of kind of how it works is like buying a lottery ticket. You have thousands of people, you have millions of mosquitoes, you have thousands of birds, and we want to try to eliminate as many of those interactions as possible to eliminate the amount of virus that builds up and the amount of people that get that virus gets transmitted to. And so these are our big areas. So in Newman, and I've come out before and talked to the council, so some of you may remember some of this. One of the primary avenues that we get mosquitoes, it's late in the year for Newman, is from the China Island refuge out here. As soon as they start to flood up, and there's two different terminologies. There's flooding up for the duck season, but then there's what they call flooding up, but it's really just irrigating. They're just irrigating their properties out there during the middle of the summer when naturally there'd be no water out there. And that's what's causing the mosquitoes is the irrigation. They are irrigating big checks of land from one source. So it's almost like turning a hose on in your yard on a drip and then just letting it go and trying to water your whole property. It's going to take a week for that water to eventually flood out. And so that's kind of the same way they're irrigating out in China Island is by the time that water gets to the end of the cell, it's already been sitting here a week by the time it gets down to that end. So this end's already breeding mosquitoes. And so we've been really working with the Merced Mosquito Abatement District to cooperate and to help us out there. And the last few years, it's really made a big difference. They've done a much better job. In fact, from the last conversation I had with the manager, they have a person out there now full time that is part of their responsibility is working out there. So we talk with them quite a bit. It's been good. The other areas that we have that are a challenge, and especially right now, is where the two rivers come together here by Hills Ferry and the fishermen's camp out there, Fisherman's Bend, along River Road. All these, the gun club out here and all these little gullies and sloughs fill up with water and just breed mosquitoes like crazy. And so the challenge for us is the access. It's once that all floods up, it's very difficult for us to get in there and to reach a lot of the areas that need control. But we just purchased last year a drone, and the state of California has allowed mosquito controls, the use of drones for mosquito control use in California. We currently do not have the ability to fly it in populated areas. They went ahead and allowed it for non-populated areas, but I think they're trying to slowly see how that goes, maybe add a little bit more later. But we were one of the few industries that actually got the ability to use a drone. And so we've got it licensed. We've got several employees that are licensed with the FAA and DPR to make application, and it's worked out really well. So I think it's going to allow us to not only get a bird's eye view and be able to identify sources better, but we'll also be able to get where we need to go a lot better and not be, stuck to the ground, so to speak. And this was just some of the activity throughout California last year. The only thing I want to really mention is this graph over here, the St. Louis encephalitis. When districts first started in California, this was the disease we were battling, is St. Louis encephalitis. And there was another one called Western equine. When West Nile showed up in the early 2000s, this virus disappeared. And we didn't pick it up again for about 15, 20 years. And just I want to say it's been about 3 years. It's popped back up out here on the west side of Stanislaus County. And now it's becoming more and more prevalent. And we've actually picked up mosquitoes that have both. They're positive for West Nile and St. Louis encephalitis. And they've determined that the St. Louis is a South American variety that's been brought up with birds. And it's considered the St. Louis encephalitis virus, but it's a little bit different in flavor, and it's a little bit tougher. It's able to compete with West Nile a little better than the other one was. So now we're finding both. So it's just something to, just kind of interesting. The symptoms are very similar of both diseases. So since 2003, there's been 7,597 cases, and I want to remind the City Council that these are hospitalizations. These are the worst of the worst. The CDC estimates anywhere from 30 to 50 for every one of these. There's 30 to 50 that went unreported. The person wasn't so bad that they had to be hospitalized and put under ICU care, but it was still a negative to the California economy. These people were very sick. They missed a lot of time at work. They probably had some issues getting back on their feet for a while, but it wasn't bad enough that it got reported. And then we've had 345 fatalities, and it's also something that really is devastating to horses. And there is a vaccine, so we urge everybody to get the vaccine for their horse. It's always sad to see a horse when you know it's preventable. And so here's just a little video about the new mosquito that we're finding in California. And we actually, Newman has the distinction of this is the first town we found it in Stanislaus County. So we had been waiting for it. We knew it was coming. We've just been following it coming up the valley. And we're like, okay, where's it going to be? And we picked it up in Newman about 3 years ago. Little tiny, very dark, almost gnat. You can see it's pretty. I will mention that dengue, we've had the first localized dengue transmitted case in Arizona this year, or last year, I should say. So dengue is something that's going to be a bigger deal at some point. It just takes literally like a cap full of water for these guys. So every district in the state is part of this association, and we get together and share data, share information. Obviously, mosquitoes don't know boundaries and whatnot, so we want to make sure that we, are letting each other know what we're doing, and that. So we put this video together. And so here's our website. You can see here, this is where we provide the public with treatment maps. And you can see, as part of the treatment maps, you can see where we've picked up positive mosquito pools, so that if you see a treatment area that we're going to be in, you will also see positive pickups, and you can put two and two together. That's why we're out there, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. If you need to request services, there's a lot of information on here, and you can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook, where we do put out notifications of any activities that we'll be doing in an area. And I just want to just briefly give just an overview of how we handle the plane. And so a lot of people see the plane fly over during the summer. Usually do it about once a month. We'll let it build up to a certain level, and then we'll let the plane come through and take any that we're not killing in the water. The plane is putting out less than an ounce per acre. So if you think of a soda can, 12 ounces, 0.75 is what we're putting out of that airplane for an entire acre of property. You can't really see anything come out the back of an airplane. It's not like we're crop dusting, The particles are getting broken up into microscopic droplets, and they're designed to be buoyant. So we time our applications to where the air above us is heavier than the air below us, so that otherwise, when that product come out of the airplane, it would float up like a balloon and go straight up in the air, and it wouldn't do us any good. So we need to time our applications for the right period of day, either in the morning or the evenings, so that those droplets are buoyant. Almost like bait if you're fishing. You don't want your bait to go to the ground, right, to the bottom, because you're not going to catch anything. So we can't have the droplets too heavy, or they'll go straight down and hit the ground, and they're not going to kill any mosquitoes. They need to be buoyant. So those droplets come out of the airplane. They float in the air column, and they don't hit the ground, and within about 2 hours, they're gone. And so we're putting out billions of those microscopic droplets that are floating in the air column, and a mosquito flies through the cloud. One of those little tiny droplets, because a mosquito's tiny, we just need one of those micro droplets to hit it, and that's enough to kill it. So a lot of people still have the misconception that it's, the big trucks from the 50s and we're clouding mosquitoes, and that's not how it works. And so the applications that we do are very precise, expensive. We don't want to waste money. We want to do it the right way. And so there's very little worry, I guess. But for folks that do want to stay informed, that do want to know where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing, please join us at our website, join us on Twitter, join us on Facebook. We give advance notifications. We'll let you know where we are and what we're doing. And anybody who has questions, feel free to call us at our office, and we'd be happy to talk with you and to make sure that people are comfortable. Because at the end of the day, we're here for public safety. So we want to make sure that people, are confident in what we're doing and why we're doing it. So does the council have any questions for me tonight? Or?
Is it males and female mosquitoes, or usually females bite?
Just the females.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. Now, they don't use the blood that they're drawing for food. Male and female, they're much the same way like a butterfly. They're drinking nectar from flowers just for sugar, just to get around. The female needs the blood for protein so that she can make the eggs. She needs the protein from the blood to make her eggs with, and so that's why the females bite.
So how? I know that you've been out here just about every year or every other year.
Yeah.
How are we doing in terms of the city of Newman, in terms of any type of complaints?
City of Newman's been great. We've worked together well. The only time that we've ever had like a thing that we had to work with the city in terms of a property is I know the property over here that I think the city was leasing out. I don't know if they still are. You guys still leasing that?
Getting ready to break ground on that project.
Yeah, that's what I knew. Yeah, you guys are going to be breaking ground over there. And soon as we got a hold of the guy that was, leasing the property and talked to him about it and the ditches and keeping them free of weeds and that kind of thing, it's been fine. It's been.
So I said that to just, I guess, to close up on here and saying that because of the rain
Yeah.
and the flooding, we know that it's going to be just tons of mosquitoes all over the county.
Yeah.
So that's a very big concern, I guess, with not here in Newman, but all over the county.
All over. The most important thing is if you're going to be outdoors, use a repellent, and we recommend DEET. It was developed in the World War II, 1940s. They've tried to invent tons of other stuff, and people talk about Avon, Skin So Soft, and all kinds of different things. There's nothing that has ever been shown to work better than DEET. And it's DEET, and you just look at your repellent label. It's been around since World War II, and it was used for our soldiers that were there over in Japan and different areas fighting. One of the biggest problems in war is disease, and so they were used DEET, and it's for mammalians, it's non-toxic, and they've never been shown anybody to have a problem with it. Other people swear by other stuff too. So, if you got your favorite, go for it. But I can tell you DEET is the best.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions?
Mr. F., we always appreciate you coming out.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate
You always
it.
do a great job, and we thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Items from the public?
I would just like to thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm
Thank
your
you.
representative with the Sherlock Mosquito Abatement for Honeywell.
We-
Am I supposed to be over there?
if you want to talk a lot, but you're fine.
I just wanted to thank you. I take my job very seriously. David will tell you that I think I've been on there 40 years. In 40 years, I have missed a half a dozen meetings because I was out of the state. So I take it seriously. That's all I wanted to say.
We greatly appreciate you guys. You guys do a great job, and we always appreciate you here. As soon as we call and say we'd like some information to go out to the public, you guys are always on top of it. So we thank you guys very much for that. Appreciate it.
Good evening. My name's Abby. I'm a representative with Assembly Member Juan Alanis's office. I'm sure some of you know my colleague Justin, but this is my first time out here, so I was happy to join you guys tonight. So today's Fentanyl Awareness Day, and the Assembly member, as a law enforcement officer, he's seen this crisis firsthand, and he serves as the vice chair of the Public Safety Committee. He's committed to taking action against the fentanyl crisis in hopes that the legislature can come together to prevent accidental deaths and educate Californians on this crisis. I know a member of our team, Justin, he attended the fentanyl town hall event here in Newman, and I was told there was a lot of people there. About 100 people showed up, so that's great that the community is coming out to educate themselves on this crisis. Yesterday, the State Assembly unfortunately rejected an effort to fast-track 3 fentanyl-related bills that would crack down on dealers. However, this doesn't change the fact that the Assembly member is committed to working with his colleagues across the aisle to find solutions to save lives. If you are in need of assistance with a state agency, feel free to call our office at 209-521-2201. I'll stick around after if you have any questions on legislation or if you're having any issues, and I can give you my card. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would anybody else like to speak tonight? All right. Thank you, everybody. Item number 8, consent calendar. A, waive all readings of ordinance and resolution except by title. B, approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of the April 25th, 2023 meeting. D, approval of lease agreement with Iera Technologies Incorporated.
I move that we accept the consent calendar for this period.
That's first. Do we have a second?
A second.
All right. Vote. Motion carries 5-0. Public hearings, there are none tonight. Regular business. Item A, report on Newman Crows Landing Unified School District event at Downtown Plaza.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I am reporting on the back to school that's taking place in August 2023 from 8:30 to 12 p.m. It's their annual back to school. They're requesting to come back to our Downtown Plaza. There will be amplified music at this event, and no alcohol will be served or sold. The Newman Crows Landing Unified School District has made the following request. Cleanup deposit waived. They will have volunteers and their staff clean up after themselves. Business licensing for downtown standards waived. Insurance reduced to $1 million. Traffic control devices cost waived. We will use city-owned barricades, or they will use city-owned barricades. Amplified music, hours changed. Currently, they're at 10 a.m. Their event starts at 8:30 a.m., so they're requesting to go a little bit earlier. And the restroom and electrical power use fees reduced to $25. With that, I can answer any questions y'all may have.
Any questions? All right, back to council for action.
I move to accept the report on Newman Crows Landing Unified School District event at the Downtown Plaza.
I'll second that.
We got first and second. Go and vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ally. Motion carries 5-0. Item B, adopt resolution 2023 next to number, a resolution approving the annual report for the lighting and landscape maintenance district for the fiscal year 2023 and 2024. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The item before you is a presentation of the annual report for the Lighting and Landscape Maintenance District for fiscal year 2023-24. If you recall, last meeting, you ordered the to develop this. MBS did develop the annual report. And now the first item tonight to do with LLD is to hopefully adopt this annual report. It lists every single zone, every single address, talks about what the method of assessment is, how they come to the conclusions. They work with Lou on the budget for all these assessment districts. And I can take any any questions if you have.
Seems like we just did this.
We did.
All right, any questions? None? Bring it back to council for action.
I'd like to move to adopt resolution number 2023, a resolution approving the annual report for the Lighting and Landscaping Maintenance District for fiscal year 2023 through 2024.
First, second?
I second it.
First and second, go and vote online. Motion carries 5-0. Item number C, adopt resolution 2023 next number, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newman, California, declaring its intentions to levy and collect the assets from the Lighting and Landscape Maintenance District for fiscal year 2023 and 2024.
Thank you again, Mayor. So this is the step before the public hearing. So what this resolution does is declares your intent to levy and collect the assessments on the properties for our lighting and landscape maintenance districts. This year, there is a 5.3% increase, 5.302 for the fiscal year. The maximum assessment is not proposed to increase from the previous year above what's allowed. And so that is an allowable increase, and that is based on the cost of living and the budget that we put together based on what we need to maintain those districts. The public hearing, if you adopt this resolution, will be set at Tuesday, June 13th. It'll be duly noticed in the newspaper and on the website. And then we would have a public hearing to actually levy the assessments. And then the county would take over and do that for us. And I'll take any questions on this if you have them.
Any questions? All right. Bring it back to council for action.
I move to adopt resolution number 2023, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newman, California, declaring its intention to levy and collect assessments for the Lighting and Landscape Maintenance District for fiscal year 23-24.
I second that.
All right. We have first and second. Go and vote. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item number D, adopt resolution 2023, next number, a resolution adopting a list of projects funded by SB1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of fiscal year 2017 for the fiscal year 2023 and 2024.
Thank you again, Mayor. This item is also an annual item. We bring it every year, and we adopt a list of projects that we are going to try to get done with the amount of funding that we get. A lot of you will recall that we've had this list for a while. And we used to have Merced Street on it and Kern Street. But over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been able to construct improvements on Merced and do the Kern Street improvements. That was just last year. And so we removed those from the list. Staff feels it's important to maintain the list to what we identified, the council, mayor, everybody, you guys voted on the list originally. We want to maintain that list until we get that list done. And so it takes time because this year we're going to get about, this next fiscal year, about $305,000 and some change. And so that stretch of road, is 3 times that. So we have to save, and then we come out, we do a road, then we save some more, then we come out, we do another road. So it takes several years to be able to get a stretch of road done like this. We also leverage other funding to try to do, like, we use CMAQ funding or SDBGP or Measure L funding to try to come in and do additional improvements or make up shortfalls in the SB1 funding. We just don't get enough of that funding to be able to make a huge difference on our road improvement projects. This year, we are already in design. We're in the middle of scoping the project details for Stanislaus. That road is in really bad shape. It is on the list. We are ready to do that. I'm working with the engineers to develop that project. And then we're going to tie that to the main street with the STBG money and CMAQ money. And so we're going to have a nice project to kind of clean up that area of town and have some good road improvements. The SB1 funding project this year is also going to include the slurry stripe crack seal of the area shown on this exhibit. And it basically is, it borders Barrington to Hills Ferry from Sherman Parkway to Driscoll and beyond, coming down into almost to Merced. That is ambitious, and we are going to see how much of it we can get done when we start cost estimating out the project. We have reviewed this area, and if you recall the presentation that we did on the pavement management plan, that plan tells us to maintain good roads. And it seems counterproductive to maintain a good road, and when we have roads that are worse than this, and I could name a half a dozen right now, as you all could. But if we go and slurry, stripe, we will get an additional 7 to 10 years out of this road to where we can do that for a couple $100,000 instead of having to have, if we had to do this entire area, it'd be $3 million project. And so that is the theory behind that. I hope you all agree with that. And we're going to try to get as much of it done as we can. I'm going to beg for them to do it for $1. Ask everybody else for more money. So anybody has money, I need it. And so I would take any questions if you have them.
Is there, on the first part on Tulare, is there
Yes.
any way to go Tulare the whole way, past on the west side to T Street? Because I know we have complaints about that road, and a lot of people travel down the drop.
So those streets that are off of that T Street corridor are being studied right now. We're just starting our grant for the T Street corridor and connectivity plan, and those areas will be studied with stormwater and road work, and that we're preparing for an ATP application, which will be a big application that we can do a lot of projects there. So we're not neglecting that. We're just putting that into a different project, and we're going to identify what needs to be done there and then go after a different type of funding. I will tell you that when we get out there and we identify and we walk the Tulare project, when we get to that point, we will be walking that. And if it's something that we can add within our budget, we will. And so I hope that alleviates your concerns. This year, we won't even be there probably for the next year or two. We'll be at Stanislaus. And so we're going to go from Main Street. We're actually going to go all the way from Inyo all the way to 33. So State Route 33. So Stanislaus is really in a bad way. It needs it.
Mayor, the main concern with the West Tulare stretch that is west of T Street is we're not sure if we have to put storm drainage system in there yet. So we don't want to pave it until we understand what this study is going to tell us. Do we put storm drainage system in there, some inlets, and some pipes? Because we'd hate to pave a road and then have to go back and then you put that in afterwards. So the study that Catherine is saying that we're going to do this summer should identify that. And then we can get a full scope of work for that portion of it. Staff fully recognizes the need on West Tulare Avenue.
With that, and this might be sort of off the road from what we're talking about now, the project that we have for school canal, what is the timeline on that particular road work versus the park that we're going to build on that in that area? Is there a timeline between the road work and the park?
So there's several different projects that are tied to that whole area over there. In the next 2 weeks, we'll be starting the project on Highway 33 in Inyo. That's an intersection improvement project. That will be starting construction in the next 2 weeks. And the Canal School Inyo surface improvement project is out to bid right now, and we'll be opening bids late May and awarding that possibly the first meeting in June, so June 13th. I just don't recall the exact date of opening those bids. And so that will then start construction 30 days out. So by July, they'll be working on that road. The news project, we expect to start by the end of May, along with the wetland project that are both on that parcel at Canal School Inyo. So all those projects are going to be happening at the same time.
Right, because that was my main concern. I think we spoke of this before in reference to possibly that road work being done and that project being done in reference to the park area. That my concern is making sure that we're not paying extra money for, and I think you explained that in reference to how that money is going to work on that, but I was just a concern that we're going to be surfacing the street, and then we're going to do construction where we're going to have probably equipment going back down that street, and possibly tearing it up again.
Yeah, we'll be considering that, and I expect that the trucks that are hauling the dirt off of the project site will be done before they get to paving. Because the paving, they have to do a lot of prep work and there's some concrete work. And so they have to do a lot of pulverization and prepare that whole roadway for pavement. And so we'll be looking at that with the team and the inspectors to make sure that we're timing those projects properly so we're not doing damage to our newly constructed items out there.
Thank you, Ken.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I'll go and open up the public for any questions or comments. All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council for action.
I move to adopt resolution number 2023, a resolution adopting a list of projects funded by SB1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017 for fiscal year 2023-24.
I'll second.
We have first and second. Go and vote on that. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're still up here for the next one?
I'm still happy.
Item E, adopt resolution 2023 next number, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newman, California, declaring its intentions to establish a Community Facilities District, CFD, and future annexation area, and to authorize the levy of a special tax therein.
Thank you again, Mayor. So the item before you is the start of a process to develop a community facilities district. It's very similar to a lighting and landscape maintenance district, which you have adopted and developed and assessed for all the subdivisions that have occurred in town after the 1972 LLD Act. This community facilities district is a little bit of a different process, but it allows us to assess those properties in subdivisions for a little bit different maintenance services. So we can assess for fire, police, public safety, in addition to our regular maintenance, and then also like slurry streets. And then we can also maintain the stormwater lift station that's out there, the lighting, the sidewalks, the landscaping that's going to be tied to these subdivisions. There's two subdivisions. There'd be two zones under this that we're starting. It will continue. So as the Northwest Newman develops, maybe there'll be a zone 3 or any other area in town, Caton Ranch that you guys will be seeing soon. Any of these places develop, then it will, we'll be adding a zone to this. But this is the beginning where we have to start it. It's a legal process. It will end in a public hearing. It is, what we've done so far is received waivers from the two property owners, which are the T Street subdivision, SCM Homes, and Matos Ranch, which is LGI Homes. They have petitioned and provided waivers to start this process for the Community Facilities District. NBS, who does our LODs, they develop the rate and method apportionment to tell us what is it going to cost. We went back and forth with them over a couple months on what we want covered. What is the city going to cover already within our budgets and fees that the residents pay already? Michael and I really made sure that we didn't overtax the residents that are going to be moving into those properties. We went back and forth, and we think we have a good rate and method apportionment here. The first step adopting this tonight will be declaring your intent. And then it'll pick up with the other LLDs, and we'll have a public hearing. And then we will hand it off to the county to assess those properties, which are, there's two properties right now. But then when those lots become separate lots, they will be identified as such and then assessed as those properties are sold. Hopefully that makes sense. First time I've done one of these. And I can take any questions, and hopefully Michael's here to help answer them if I can't.
Questions? So on this will only be for new houses going forward, not current residents.
That's right.
Okay, so it'll only be on new properties.
Yep, and the properties are identified in the exhibits. It does show the two areas. One's off Prince, which is known as the Matos Ranch subdivision, 106 lots. And the other one on the same exhibit is shown for the T Street, which is Sousa Court, but we call it the T Street subdivision. It's right there off of Orristimba Road into that subdivision where those new houses. There's 10 lots there.
No questions? All right, I'll open up to the public for any questions or comments. All right. Seeing none, I'll bring you back to the City Council for action.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newman, California, declaring its intention to establish a community facilities district and future annexation area, and to authorize the levy of special taxes therein.
And I will second it because I love Kathy's work.
We have a first and second. Go and vote. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much. I'll go sit down now.
Item number F, consider funding requests for a fall festival and the Miss Newman float.
Thank you, Mayor. And I know the members of the Fall Festival Committee are here, and we have some slides to show you as well. But so they submitted a written letter to you that's part of your package, and they're asking for some funding to do some renovations to the existing Fall Festival float. The Fall Festival float is the float that carries Miss Newman and her court through different communities and parades, and shows off. It's a representation of the Fall Festival, the Miss Newman, as well as the City of Newman is on there as well. Like I said, there are some slides that she's going to show you. In the past, it was in 2015. The Fall Festival had done another renovation on that particular float at the time. At that time, the council agreed to donate up to $5,000 towards the renovation, and on a dollar-for-dollar match on what the committee had raised, and then the council had set the maximum at $5,000. I know the Fall Festival Committee at that time raised more than $5,000, but we had the council at that time capped it at $5,000, and so we matched that, and then they did some renovations. Unfortunately, it's time for the float to be renovated again, and so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Christine Eddington, and she's going to talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Michael Holland.
Welcome.
You kind of said a lot already, so I might not even have to say anything, but good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and city staff. I am Christine Eddington. I usually try to hide behind, and I don't really like to be out in public, but I am the one behind the Newman Fall Festival. I'm the current chairman. I've been the chairman for 3 years. I have with me today Diane Glendenny. She is our co-vice chairman. And so we are here today to ask the city for financial assistance to help us renovate the float. The float was built in 2015, but because it was out in, parked out in pretty much no covered, it's have gone through major wear and tear. We didn't use it last year just because of safety concerns for the girls. And then this year, we're really hoping to get a new float going and have it by the time the Fall Festival come around in September. Because of the extent of the wear and tear of the trailer, we have been told that we should not use the old trailer. And so we are going to be purchasing a new, smaller trailer to use. So because of that, that is now increasing our budget, the cost of this project drastically. We do have 2 businesses that have already offered financial support. We are here to ask for a $3,000 match with their donation. We had our fundraiser last year. I'm not sure if you guys remember, we had a booth and we had a fundraiser, and from that we were able to raise $5,000. So we are starting off with somewhat of a good budget, but we weren't really expecting to have to buy a new trailer. So the new trailer is going to be about $8,000 alone. I think anything else. I know, of course, he mentioned we use it for the Newman Fall Festival. We'll take it over to Patterson. We'll take it over to Gustine. We're keeping the layout similar. If you look at the model, it's similar to how it was before. We really wanted to have that historical factor of our downtown. We want to promote that downtown so other people will see it. And the one thing that we are adding on to it that wasn't on the original float is the West Side Theater as the backdrop, because it's all right there together. We even have some ideas of maybe having some LED lights, so that way at the night parade over in Gustine, it will light up. We also are going to incorporate some of the agricultural richness that we have here on the siding, on the green, that side skirts. We are working with OHS Art Department, and they'll be creating a mural with kind of like an agricultural mural theme on the side. Am I forgetting anything else? No?
I think you're covering it all.
Sorry, I wrote it all out, but I don't want to read it to you guys. So I guess we're just here. Fall Festival is such a big thing for our town. I know everybody enjoys it, and so we just want to see if you guys could help us financially and make sure that this become a success and have it ready for this year, 2023 Fall Festival. If you have any questions.
I'd just like to say I know you guys work very hard on the Fall Festival, and I appreciate all your guys' hard work that you guys do, because you guys always do a great job, and it's been a great success.
Thank you.
Thank you guys on that.
Yeah. And let me say this too, is that Fall Festival is a historical part of the city of Newman, and we look forward to that every year. You guys do a great job. Basically, I guess there's no real concerns, but the key to it is making sure that, that you guys are supported, in terms of what you're doing over there. Thanks.
And one thing I did forget to mention, because of the whole weather and being outside and not covered, that was my biggest thing that I needed to figure out. So we are working with a business downtown that is going to allow us to use their lot, and we're putting in a carport so that it'll be stored and therefore not get that wear and tear so fast.
Perfect.
Design too.
Oh, we're gonna try. The old one, there's like super tall and it doesn't really break down. So we're gonna try to do more like Legos. That's our design. Hopefully it works out where it can kind of like all kind of collapse down and kind of fill into each other. So that way it's not so high, and then we can cover it and hopefully protect it better.
Sounds good. All right.
One other question is that I wonder if we, as city councilman, we can get a nice float.
What?
Wow, that would be fun.
Golf cart's good enough.
And let me say this real quickly, is that since I've been on the city council, and this is my second term, basically, the city of Newman has moved in a position to where they're recognizing us as the #1 city on the west side. So you guys have a big job in terms of making sure when people come to visit us, they know that we're the reason why we're #1.
I think everybody knows. I love how, our community really help out each other. It really touch me every year because the fire department always helps out in so many ways. And, I kind of, Keith and I are friends outside of this, but he's also doing it for the community. So we're definitely #1 community out here for sure.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I would, if there's no questions, I'd recommend, and my personal opinion is, we would do the same thing, $5,000 match dollar for dollar again as we did previously.
I agree, Mayor.
Yeah, I agree.
You had me at new trailer.
All right.
I have to go
Is
pick it up on Friday.
Is that something we'd vote on, or?
We'll need a motion. We'll need a motion
Right.
and a second and a vote.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll bring that back to council for action.
I will move to not just consider, but accept the funding request for Fall Festival Miss Newman float. The mayor, you mentioned $5,000. I'll go ahead and make a motion based on that amount.
And I'll second that.
On a dollar for dollar match.
Dollar for match based on what they're fundraising, and that we'll match it.
Correct. Dollar for dollar match. Okay.
And I'll second that,
We have
Mayor.
a first and second. Go ahead and vote. All right.
And
Thank you very much.
another cool thing. I
Motion
just
carries by
remembered.
0.
I don't know if you guys saw on Facebook, we did close the Miss Newman application process because we have reached our maximum. So we have 10 girls running. Wow. So it's going to be an exciting year.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Very good.
Excited to see it. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, so.
Item 11, County Supervisor is unable to make it tonight. Item number 12, items from the city manager and staff. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple housekeeping items. Tonight you heard a lot of different items, whether we had the LLDs, landscape and lighting districts, and then at the end you heard community facilities district. It's an annual process that you can, as you've known, if you've been on here a while, every year at the same time of the year, we go through these steps. So instead of just doing LLD, landscape and lighting districts, we'll be adding community facility district as part of that process. So that'll be a dual step if we're going to move forward on it. It does provide us a more up-to-date mechanism for providing those services to our new residential areas. It also allows for the potential for adding a public safety feature to go along with that if that's something the council wants us to look at in the future. And then just the only other thing that I had, Thursday, I am meeting with the county CEO and the deputy CEO to fundraise for the nature park and to fundraise for the Veterans Plaza and to see if we can't get the McBride Building location, the Jobs and Business Development Center, included in the Stanislaus 2030 plan so we can start getting some grant funding and moving that project forward. So I'll be doing a full presentation to Mr. Hayes and Ms. Rocha on that. So I'll report back to you at our next meeting.
Good deal. All right. Got it. Thank you, Michael. Good luck on that. I hope we can get some money from them. Allie?
Mayor, council members again. Just touching subject, we did have our last downtown pop-up market this last Friday. It went well. We had roughly around 40 vendors, a good flow of community members that came down. A lot of our food vendors did quite well selling out, so that's a good indication that the community is still coming down to our events. At the event, we had Bike to Work, Stan Is Cruise attend. They got a lot of registrations, a good feedback. This was their first event ever coming out, so they did great at this event. And the chamber donated a bike for them, so they were able to raffle off a bike. And at the end of the event, we raffled off their first bike for their whole event. So that's kind of a cool little thing that they did and that we got to do with them. The next thing is soccer registrations are currently happening. So if you know any child that's interested in playing soccer and Fit Kids during the summer, send them my way, send them down to the teen center. We can definitely register them. There are volunteers in our community who are willing to pay for children that cannot afford or families that cannot afford for them to play. They're willing to sponsor. So if you know anybody that's interested, send them my way.
What's the age range?
5 to 14. Must be 14, it's still in YOLO, and 5 as of September 2nd. And for Fit Kids, it's 5 to 12 years old. With that, I can answer any other questions y'all may have.
I got one quick question. Is that I've been passing my card out,
Okay.
city card to skaters.
Oh,
I
okay.
mentioned your name
Good.
to where they should call City Hall, ask for you.
Good. Have them either call or even stop at the teen center in the afternoons. I'm at that location, so they can come visit me as well.
Oh, okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allie.
Thank you.
Lou, you're up.
Didn't have anything to report tonight, but happy to answer any questions.
Good deal, thank you. Catherine?
I have nothing additional to report, but I do want to say make sure that you tell all the moms in your lives Happy Mother's Day.
Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. A few things. We got an emergency managers meeting coming up June 1st. It's an op area thing. So if you got anything you want me to address at the time of the meeting, let me know. Emergency operations plan, anything like that. If you guys got questions on that, let me know. Heat's on its way, so it's going to heat up pretty hot this weekend. So start preparing now. Just get yourself acclimated to the weather. Drink plenty of water. Use some sunscreen. Take shade breaks. If you can work indoors, work indoors. So we're expecting that. Hopefully it's nothing crazy. I just want to remind everyone to drive safely with the graduations coming and all that. Prom and all that stuff was going on. So just continue to drive safely. We've seen an increase in vehicle accidents. And then just want to remind everyone, the fire department dumpster enclosure is out to bid. And so you'll see that in the paper as well. And I can answer any questions anyone might have.
Any questions? Thank you, Chief. Pro Tem.
Nothing to add tonight.
Thank you. Councilman McDonald.
Nothing tonight.
Pro Tem Newman?
Nothing tonight.
All right. Well, Pro Tem, I'd like to thank you for covering for me last meeting. I appreciate that. It wasn't mentioned, but there's no meeting the 23rd, correct?
Correct.
So there will be no council meeting the 23rd. So our next meeting will be in June. Congratulations, since we won't be here, to all the people graduating high school and moving on. And like Chief said, be careful out there. And happy Mother's Day to all mothers.
And Ball was nervous when you weren't here.
Your skater shoes.
So,
Shall we adjourn?
so with that, I'll ask for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
We have first, second.
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 All right.